Donald Trump is back in a federal courthouse this Tuesday to argue that as a former US president, he should be immune from prosecution on charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 election. The 77-year-old arrived in a motorcade to attend the appeals court hearing today, just blocks away from the US Capitol, where supporters stormed on January the 6th, 2021, to try and disrupt the democratic transfer of power from Trump to Joe Biden. Well, covering the hearing is our Washington correspondent, Fraser Jackson. He's with me now from the courthouse. Fraser, just tell us what's been happening in the room so far.
Well, things opened with Donald Trump's lawyer, who argued that Donald Trump should be above prosecution for things that happened during his time in office. He said, quote, to authorize the prosecution of a president for official acts would open a Pandora's box from which this nation may never recover. He also said that it could result in former presidents being prosecuted for giving, quote, false information to Congress to enter a war. Now, they also are arguing, Trump's legal team, that Trump could only be convicted if he had been found guilty by the Senate and impeached. Of course, Donald Trump was only found guilty by the House and was acquitted by the Senate. Things got heated at times when cross-examination started with the three judges sitting. They, at some point, called some of Trump's lawyers' arguments, quote, paradoxical. The lawyer also was given hypothetical situations by the judges who said, would the president be able to be prosecuted had he given military secrets or had he ordered assassination of one of his political opponents as well? After about 30 minutes, Trump's lawyer seemed to want to get off of the stand, asking, quote, are there any more questions? But another came his way, and 10 minutes later, he finally stepped down before the government lawyer then took the stand and was given the same cross-examination as well. Now, this ruling could set a massive precedent. It could say whether a president is immune from criminal prosecution for things that happened during their time in office. And of course, Donald Trump himself doesn't need to be here. This is not the kind of hearing that a defendant normally attends, but it is something that he is hoping to fundraise off of. Donald Trump's two biggest fundraising days so far have been after his appearance at the courthouse in Manhattan, and then again after he was booked for the crimes in Georgia that are alleged there, during which his mugshot was taken.
Look, Fraser, this has just got underway where you are in Washington, but do you have a sense yet of what the likely outcome of this is going to be?
Well, things wrapped up pretty quickly here. Within an hour, it was all over, but we are now waiting for the judgment, which could take a couple of days or a couple of weeks. One thing we do know is that it is in the government's interest for this to be wrapped up, and indeed, Special Counsel Jack Smith has been asking for this to be expedited so that he can stick to his beginning of March schedule that he wants this trial to begin with. Whichever way this goes, it's likely to end up at the Supreme Court. Now, Donald Trump's lawyers have already said they will appeal if it doesn't go their way, but the Supreme Court will have to decide whether they want to hear the case, and even then they will then need to expedite it once again if it is to start this trial on time. So that is really hanging in the balance here. The Donald Trump's legal team is hoping that it will get pushed past that March start date and potentially even past November, hoping that if he wins the election, then it could be staved off altogether. Trump on Monday suggesting that if he did win that election, that Joe Biden himself could be in for an indictment. He said, quote, if I don't get immunity, then crooked Biden doesn't get immunity. Joe would be ripe for indictment.